Hey, welcome back. It's been a while. I'm going to give a shout out to my guitar virtuoso friend Neville Campbell Barker for suggesting I make this two-part video series. Tomorrow, one of my oldest guitars is going into Andy Neville's guitar workshop for a Floyd Rose upgrade. I wanted to do a before and after video so you can see why I wanted to get it done and hopefully show you the improvement. This guitar has a few stories attached to it, so I'd like to share those with you. I'm 54 now. When I was 22, I bought this Peavey Tracer LT guitar to replace my 1988 Charvel Model 3, which was a metallic blue one. That guitar got stolen from my flat in Wolverhampton, and at the time I was in my 7th band in 9 years, believe it or not, a band called Plain Jane. My bandmates included Duncan Cook, who is currently the keyboardist in the brilliant Whitesnake UK tribute band. I didn't have much money, so the Peavey was the closest in spec to the Charvel that I could afford. It's a Super Strat type, featuring a maple neck, a poplar body, rosewood fingerboard, a licensed Floyd Rose tremolo system, and an HSS pickup configuration. There's a very simple but extremely useful neck tilt system incorporated into the heel, which means you can fine-tune the playability really precisely. On this Mark I example, the model name is far more prominent than the manufacturer's name, so 99% of people assume that this was a Tracer guitar rather than a Peavey guitar. The Mark II version fixed this problem by having a big Peavey logo which replaced the Tracer logo, but by that time the marketing was probably screwed, so yeah, they didn't seem to be around for very long, you know, which is a shame. The retail price at £329 was an absolute bargain for a USA made guitar, so it's no surprise that a few corners were cut. The pickups were terribly microphonic, so any hint of distortion caused them to squeal uncontrollably. So it was like, I mean, obviously this guitar was designed as like a hair metal type of guitar, and you can't play hair metal with a plinky plonky Hank Marvin sound, you know. So the lovely guys at One Way Music took pity on me, and they swapped the humbucker for a higher end model which didn't squeal, so that meant I could use it. Whilst I was in Plain Jane and then later the Shropshire based rock band Tantrum, the Peavey shared duties with my Charvel Fusion Custom. They were very similar looking guitars, and people would often mistake one for the other. You can see my Charvel in action on my Guitarist of the Year videos from 1994 and 1995. When I began my one-man rock show in January 95, this was the guitar that I used for all the tunes where a trem or a whammy bar was required. Things like Surfing with the Alien and the dreaded Bat Out of Hell. Later in 95, I commissioned a Worcestershire-based guitar maker to build me a custom guitar. The results were really, really disappointing. So what happened was I ended up giving him the wood back, and I kept the hardware. So I was able to reuse the Kent Armstrong single coil pickup to replace the neck pickup. So originally this pickup was there. The middle single coil pickup was so bad it had to be disabled. Even when you switch between the bridge and the neck pickup, it caused a horrific squeal, so I had that taken out completely. In around 1999, I swapped the bridge humbucker to a DiMarzio tone zone. At this time, my main guitar was a Parker Fly Deluxe, so it made sense to have the same pickup in my spare guitar. When I joined Budgie in 2003, I played the first 8 gigs or so with this guitar. These gigs included the Zodiac Club in Oxford, which was my very first Budgie gig. The second gig I did with them was the Sweden Rock Festival, which was a massive show. The Arrow Classic Rock Festival in Holland, which is where my profile pic was taken. The Rock and Blues Festival in Derbyshire, the Kortrijk Rock Festival in Belgium, where we played alongside the Sweet and Slade 2. My photo on the cover artwork from Budgie's You're All Living in Cuckoo Land album shows me playing this guitar at the Sweden Rock Festival. I used a different photo from the same gig on my Freethinker solo album, and during this period I also used this guitar to record the live studio bonus tracks that feature on the first 4 remastered Budgie albums. So there is an official Budgie approved recording of Bread Fan that I play on this guitar that you can hear. The chunk of paint missing from above the fat E string there, you see, I do tend to look after my guitars, but you know, accidents do happen. So that was caused during one of my one-man rock shows when I let the strap buckle kind of fall against the paintwork, and it's really thin paint, so it flaked really easily. So I kind of learnt my lesson since then. So ever since then I've been extremely careful when I put my guitar on the stand to make sure that the strap doesn't kind of slam against the paintwork. In later years, this has very much been my emergency backup guitar, since just in case I break a string on my Jackson Soloist. But I do occasionally use it still for recording different guitar parts. Recently, I bought a Seymour Duncan Hot Rails pickup to fit my other Charvel Fusion Custom, which is a black one now. In fact, you might see it just behind me there. Sadly, the guitar body was too thin at that point to accommodate the this pickup. So I asked Andy Neville if he could put it into this guitar instead, in the neck position, and move the Kent Armstrong pickup, which was there, into the middle position. Considering the 3 pickups are all made by different manufacturers, they blend together really well, and with the help of the coil tap you can get some pretty good clean sounds, which I'll sort of give you a blast. You know, so it's cool. So if I just back off the volume a little bit, yeah, I need to activate that coil tap if it's going to do anything. So yeah, you can tell it's quite a stratty. It's got a great clean sound. You know, it's a really versatile guitar. Whilst I'm here, I'll give you a demo of the distortion sound. So if I deactivate the coil tap, bit rusty. So you know, it works. It's So what can I say about the guitar? The neck is as perfect or as close to perfect as it's possible to get. After 32 years, the fingerboard has kind of it's got a nice feel, as though the edges have been rounded off, like you get on certain brand new guitars these days when they make that part of the manufacturing process. There's virtually no radius on the fretboard. You can see it's absolutely flat as a pancake, which means that string bends don't choke off, you know, so that's good, but it does make it feel a little bit sterile compared to something like a Strat. The frets aren't particularly massive. They're okay, you know, they're a decent size. Ideally I'd like if they were a bit higher, you know, I do like high frets, but I'd say the neck feels quite small, and it would suit someone with small hands, you know, so it's quite friendly in that sense. And it's been set up by Andy Neville, which makes it really easy to play. So he has extracted every ounce of playability from it. The only thing that lets this guitar down is the licensed Floyd, and if you listen, you'll see what I mean. You know, if I sort of move that backwards and forwards, it just makes a horrible clunking sound. You know, it's really not great. The trem itself works really well, you know, if I want to do big yeah, it does all that cool stuff, and the knife edges are pretty accurate as well. So if I went, you know, it's not perfect, but it comes back to zero really well, or close to zero. So so the knife edges are pretty good. Okay, the trem, this particular trem is made by a company called Peavey. And you'll find the same unit used on 90s Korean-made Dean guitars, including the Dimebag ML. One of my students used to have one of these. It had the General Lee flag paintwork, but it was the first time I saw this unit on any other guitar, you know. So say the solution for this is I brought a Goto 1996 T licensed Floyd Rose unit, and the advantage with this one is there's a grub screw arrangement which tightens the trem arm inside the collar, and it stops it from going you know, so it should be a lot easier to do more subtle you know, tasteful whammy bar tricks. So yeah, I had the Goto unit on one of my old guitars, the Palm Bay Cyclone, so I'm familiar with it. I know how it feels, and I know it's pretty reliable. Being as the locking nut on this guitar was made by Carla, which is quite strange, you know. It's I mean, Carla's quite a well-respected make, you know, combined with a no-name bridge. By the way, don't argue with me about the pronunciation, because you will lose. So by not buying the locking nut, I'll save a few pounds on the replacement bridge. So what's happening is tomorrow I'm going to take this guitar back to Andy Neville's guitar workshop, and he'll check it over, make sure that the Goto trem is going to be suitable to fit to replace this old Peavey unit. I've measured it to the nth degree, so I honestly can't see there being a problem, but you never know. The only question mark I can think of possibly is that it's whether I can keep these original posts, or whether I need to keep them, or whether I can put the new ones on. you know. So I mean, obviously it'd be nice if I could get the new ones on, but it all depends on what the screw thread situation is and the diameter of the posts, you know. So so it might work, it might not. But yeah, I will report back with the results in a few days, and sort of let you know if it's worked or not. But I hope it does, because although it's not, as I say, the guitar only cost £329 to start with, so it's not as though I spent a lot of money on it, but it's got a massive amount of history for me. It's followed me through the bulk of my career, you know. So it'd be nice to just get it playing as well as it possibly can play, you know. So yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for this video, and on the next video I'll be able to tell you if it's worked or not. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next one.